Hey Google, restart video.
Hey everyone, Scott Innes, voice actor, Hollywood actor, movie star. Don't believe all that. I'm a legend in my own mind. Hey, you know me better as the voice of some of the most popular cartoon characters in the world. Scooby Dooby Doo, Scrappy Dappy Doo, Puppy Power, Black and Shaggy too. Hey, you've got the Sullivan Project podcast. It's coming at you right now.
Hey Google, stop. Hey Google, turn your volume to 50%. Hey Google, turn your volume to 50%. What's up, everyone? This is the Sullivan Project podcast. I'm your host, Harold Sullivan. Hope you all are feeling blessed. Every day is a miracle. That's my new Sullyism. The last one before that was Look for the Lesson. And I've gotten close to 40 of them. I've been writing since I lost my sight 3 years ago. And I was born disabled. I've been in a wheelchair since I was around 9 or 10, a power wheelchair. Before that, it was a push chair. And I was born with autoimmune disease. And everyone has a story, and you can't judge a book by its cover. That's what we like to say. And we have guests on here, audio or video. Even some celebrities have done cameos. If you want to be on the show, or if you just want to get out something or have something said or just have a message, we appreciate contact us. Harold Sullivan 78 on YouTube and TikTok. And then Harold Sullivan period 35 on Facebook. You can email the show, HS, that's the initials HS 19782015 at outlook.com. And you can call the show 724-513-1472. My niece, what is that? Hey Google, stop. Like, why is it just randomly playing something? And what is it playing? Jesus. I've had a problem with these technologies. If you tune into past episodes, I mean, I don't know what it is. You want to call it spook specters, just energies, but they just start playing on their own. They do what they want. They talk to each other, the Alexas and Googles and Portal and all these other things I have that are voice activated. But yeah, my little niece is up there. You're gonna hear her. She's 2 years old. My youngest nephew Matt's child, and she says no or she screams and cries. That's pretty much it, and it breaks my heart. See, she's always crying and screaming. It's like most parents, you do what you can, to stop the kid from screaming and crying. It seems like she's always screaming and crying, and you don't try to. I don't know. It's either that or she says no. But God bless her. I just did a psychic reading for her recently. It should be on the platforms. It was for Mila. And what was she? Aries, I believe. So yeah, she's fiery. And she's a little diva already. I could tell that before I did her chart, her psychic reading with astrology, numerology, and tarot. So I'm into all that stuff, crystals, everything. I'm almost done with the audio Bible the 13th time in a row now. And I've only had that about 3 years. King James Version, 87 hours. And I've also listened to the Book of Mormon. And then I've studied Buddhism and Wicca, and just all kinds of not every religion, but just every way. Just your soul is your most important thing, and so make up your own opinions and use your own intuition, and take things from different things, and just be who you are. Believe in you, if anything. I don't condemn people, or I'm not the judge, just a messenger. That's another Sullyism. But you don't have to be this label or that label, this religion, that religion. Just be good. Be a good person. Love unconditionally. You know. When I talked to Spirit and I asked him when I wanted to know, hey, why am I here? What is the point of all this? What are we doing here? I got unconditional love was the first thing. You should always love unconditionally. And then you should learn or teach in every moment. So it's three things, at least one of those things. So everything is always for something. That's another Sullyism. Things don't just happen. They don't happen to you. They're happening for you. We can take it everything negative or bad. But what is bad and negative? There's no such thing. It's just the way you produce it at that moment, but it's happening for good. Okay, everything happens for good. It's all for light. The light already won. The darkness can creep in there and it can try to control things, but the light's already won. So keep your head up. That's what Danny told me recently, and that's a Tupac lyric, of course. And if you know, it's if you know Tupac, and yeah, keep your head up. So that's all you got to do from one moment to the next sometimes, and that's all it takes. And it sounds simple, but you know that really is it. Just wait one more moment, you never know, and it's not going to always be the way you think. So you might think it's going to be so caca or whatever forever, and what's the point? I've been there. We all get there, but if you hang on one more second, the sunshine could be in there. It could be the best moments or memories you ever had. So just like I said, hang in there. We're going to talk about supernatural today, a couple other things, and I'm doing working on some more music, writing songs. I got the book, the Sullivan Project, and first 45 years. I just started 45, so the book is going to cover. Uh, yeah, it's going to cover the first 45 years or so. Uh, can't do everything and keep going with it. I got the book has to end at some point, maybe do a second one. But I have limited help with. I can't just sit and type and I'll have people all day every day. Nobody's going to do that. So I get things done when I can, little bit by little. Uh, when I have my site, I used to just sit and work, even with my hands not being very good. I could type one finger at a time, and I could do more with my time than most could because I just would sit there and pound out. I used to write movie scripts and all kinds of stuff. Now I've been writing songs and little sayings and a book and just trying to be the light, be the best energy I can be, contribute. It doesn't cost money. It don't, you know what I mean? You can do these things for free. You can tell someone you love them. It don't cost nothing. You should always love. Fight fire with water. If there's some kind of turmoil going on, that's another Sullyism. Come into it with love. You can feel it already because we're all energy. And don't go back with a combatant if someone's hurt. If someone lashes out, they're hurting. That's what they do. Some people, a lot of people do actually, and they don't want to feel empathetic or love. They want love, but they don't want to feel the the stuff that goes with it, like the hurt and the pain. But that goes with it. You love someone, they love you. You care about each other. Things happen. But being compassionate is feeling for them and having them feel for you and making it through that moment. I mean, that's it right there. Talk about advice. But we had a recent nice comment from who a Taylor on YouTube. I appreciate it. Leave more comments and feedback. She said that was inspirational and I'm doing good and helping people with the podcast. I appreciate it. And we had a Tyler recently who contacted me a few months back to try to help out with things. But he wanted to do more creative stuff, and he kind of asked me for my login information right away. And I'm not doing that. Well, what do you mean? Anything you want to help out with, I can get uploaded. He wanted to redo like everything. I have a logo. I have a theme song. I have well, my picture is me with my hat. I mean, what else do you need? I need to show people that my condition so they know. People think they got it bad. You know what? Somebody else always has it worse. And you might look at someone and think, hey, I could live or want to live their life. No, you don't. Because you know what you can do, what you can handle, because you've been through it and you're going through it. You have no idea of other people's darkest fears, pains, uh, any of that. So you don't want to be someone else. Be you. Once you learn to love you unconditionally, I've had that happen where I just cry in joy, and that's the best feeling is when you feel the light and see the light. Even if you're blind, you can feel the light and see the light, and feel unconditional love for yourself, and be like, I'm perfect the way I am, no matter what I've been through. It made me this way, and then it's great. I'm the way I'm supposed to be. I was born a little baby, 2 years old, and I was crying and falling down because of pain, and they didn't know what was wrong with me. And they said it was either malnourishment or juvenile rheumatoid arthritis, which doesn't seem bad, but when you're a baby and you're born with it, then they put me on 21 baby aspirins at 5 years old, and just up and up and up until the last pain pills I was prescribed was Oxycontins and Xanax together. And a few years back, I decided to scrap all that and just went with the medical marijuana card. And now I'm just down to just gummies, just a couple gummies for pain and anxiety. It doesn't take it all away, but you know what? It's going to be there anyway, no matter what you do. Drugs, alcohol, other things that we feed ourselves with, it's still there, whatever we're trying to escape from. So there's no point of trying to escape. What are you trying to escape from? Life. You know, in other planes, it ain't like this. You don't have all these feelings of physical, there's other planes of existence. You're just pretty much energy. So we need to enjoy this while we can, whether it's good, bad, but however you take it, feel now, feel and be real. And once in a while, escape, whatever, okay. But don't just get high just to not want to be alive. All right, I don't recommend that at all. And I've been through it. I've done a lot of things, so I know. I can only speak on what I've been through, because otherwise I'd be fake and false. If you haven't done it, you can't recognize someone else that's been through it. You can't help them if you know, I mean, you can listen, but you can't really identify unless you've experienced it. And I'm empathic, and I'm getting more empathic. So I've felt people's pains just being around them. And so I know what it's like for all different kinds of people, all different kinds of experiences they've had, traumas. I've felt it all and lived through them. So I'm here just to help people. I told God, whoever you want to believe in a higher power, or just like I said, believe in you. We're all connected. I said I'm going to help the rest of my life any way I can, even if it's just being here for someone they can call. That's why I put my number on the show. Call me if you have a moment. I'll cry with you. I am here for people. I'm reachable. You'll hear Kermit the Frog on my voicemail. The guy who does Kermit's voice, he did a little voicemail for me. So, but yeah, I'm working on some songs, and I got one called "Man on a Mission" that I wrote that I might use for the future podcast theme song if I can get it digitally made with the AI, which takes a lot of time because these things mess up so much. You don't just put it into words and have a song made. But sometimes they don't say the words right, or the music don't match up, or the voices are different, and you got to do piece by piece. Because if you try to do a whole song, you have to listen to the whole thing over and over uh, for mistakes, and it just takes longer than to try to do it piece by piece. Because then once you get the pieces, you can put the song together. So, but I've got a few up there. Check them out. I got one called "I Look Up Love" on TikTok and YouTube. Another one about Quantum Leap, the TV show, the original one called "Oh Boy." And Father of the Year, I wrote for Danny, my godfather's, or my godchildren's father. So he asked me to be the godfather to both his babies. They're both under two, I believe. Time goes by so fast, and I don't believe in time anymore since I haven't seen a clock in years. So I can't tell whether it's been 1 year, 2 years, a week, a month. Sometimes I just go to sleep when I can. And I wake up, you know, and thank God when I do wake up. Recently, I've been sleeping and waking. I've been awake and asleep at the same time. And I've got sleep apnea. I was diagnosed with that years ago, but I couldn't never wear a machine or take the oxygen. It was too much. So the doctor said, just sleep when you can. That's what I've been doing for 12, 13 years now. But sometimes I'm awake and snoring now, and I can hear myself, and I can hear everything going around. And my eyes are open, but I'm dreaming and seeing that. And it's a little crazy. Greg said that that's normal for blind people, but he's not blind, and I'm not sure how he would know. But anybody can contact me to help me out with it is. If you're blind too, or you have become blind and you weren't born blind, this is all new and different, and it's very difficult. I thought I was, moving along there in Bull. I'm just, after a year and a half and going to 14 different doctors, they finally said I had glaucoma, cataract, retinal vein occlusion, macular edema, and then I was already had uveitis, stigmatism, and nearsighted since I was young. I could only see up close, really. So I had all that. They were giving me eye drops when I was like 5 years old for uveitis, and it went away for like 30 years and then come back real hard. And then going back and forth to doctors, and I'm not finding what was wrong. I ended up losing my left eye, and then a few years later, the right eye. And then they couldn't even tell me what happened to the left one. I still am not sure. I'm not sure about any of it, really. I just quit going back to the doctors after they said I was blind and there was nothing they could do pretty much. And then that was it. So I'm accepting God, whatever God got for me. My faith can move mountains. I mean, that's a great feeling. It's just hard to know when to try to do something and when not to because you want to control as a human, but we're not really in control of anything. You know, we just gotta kind of let go and leave it up to you know the ether, whatever you want to say, and make the decisions the best way we can whenever the decisions pop up. So, but Supernatural, yeah, if y'all haven't checked it out, there was 15 seasons, like 300 and some episodes. Taught me a lot about a lot of different things, even religion, and I didn't even know that I was being taught because there's so much things from the Bible and different religions and old beliefs and monsters and just things that it's all mixed together in there. So I'm going back and doing. I got season 1 on Google Play, the DVD or whatever you want to call it, the episodes with no commercials or anything, and I'm through 16 out of the first 22. So I'm going to talk a little bit about the first 16 episodes of Supernatural, and just in case people haven't tuned in before. And I got a couple audiobooks I've listened to. We're going to do that a little bit here. So Supernatural, let's see. It's basically the best way I could describe it is the X Files meets Buffy, the Vampire's Lair meets Charmed. I mean, they have all this, but it's two brothers hunting monsters, demons, whatever, the different things. And at first, I was like, you know what I mean, two guys, and there's usually female always, especially in horror movies, because they scream, and it's just people identify with the female character and their empathy more. But these guys do really good, and they even crack sometimes on themselves, and even especially in the first season when they show up together, people think they're couples a lot. So they did play on that, and they kind of laugh at themselves on that a little bit, which is what makes the show good. I mean, they have funny moments, but then most of it's kind of set in a quote unquote reality. Lots of cameos as far as they show. They had a lot of good actors and actresses, and then even music and there's things in the background that they show or that they play that makes you feel more home or more home, more comfortable because it's not just like a TV show. You know what I mean? And by that I mean like the first episode they mentioned Goldwave, which was an audio editing software that's still out there. They were using it to do EVPs, and this is 20 something 30 years ago when the show came out. I think it was 2005, so about 20 years ago. Episode first seasons came out 19, 20 years ago, and it's still around Goldwave. They mentioned Smurfs. Uh, Sam's girl was wearing, I guess, some Smurfs panties or lingerie, and Dean's like, "Oh, I love Smurfs," and it says, and the brother. So it's Sam and Dean Winchester and their father John, and basically Sam's mother is killed by something on the ceiling, and she's burned up while he's in his crib as a baby. So the brother Dean got to grab the baby and run out of the house, and the father, and years later, the father's hunting these monsters, trying to find out what's killed the mother, and the brother Dean kind of does the same thing, and they're called hunters. Sam wants to go to college and be just a normal kid, but then his girlfriend ends up getting killed. Spoilers. So then he's like, you know what the heck with it? I got to find out what killed both of them now, and I'm going to join my brother. So that's pretty much the first few episodes. The father only shows up a couple times in the first season, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. Most of the time, they're calling him on the phone trying to find out where he is because he's disappeared on a hunting trip, they call it. And he shows up a few times. So let me just talk about the first episodes. I'm trying to remember here. You have everything from, let's see, the first episodes was like I said, the monster on the roof or the whatever it was that put the mother on the ceiling. Second one, you have Wendigo, it's called, which is a mythological or cryptological, whatever they're called, crypto creature. You have that. You have some kind of monster, like a lake monster thing. You have Bloody Mary type. You have the Hook Man. You have Haunted House. They actually go back to their house that their mother was in, where she got killed, and there was a evil thing that had took over because of the tragedy that happened there. and then the mother actually comes back as a spirit, so they get to see their mother again. Uh, Even though they hadn't seen her since they were kids, and Sam was a baby, they get to actually see the mother, and she takes out the entity. Then you have a psychic lady named Mosley, Missouri Mosley. She's the father's friend, and she's very cool. She's been in lots of movies and TV shows. If you all check it out, that's in like episode 10 or 11 or so. And yeah, you have pretty much all these different monster of the week. The first few seasons they called it, where they had their own interpretation of different monsters and how to kill them. There's a haunted asylum in there, and then they get back. Oh, there's a airplane crash where the dude rips off the door of the airplane, and we find out he was a demon possessing people. There's different colored eyes with the demons. And Meg comes in season one. Meg is a cute blonde girl that was her a demon took her body over. So she's with Sam, and you actually have a couple people from Freddy vs. Jason, the movie, which I came out a year or two before this. So the boy who played Mark is in one of the episodes. He has telekinesis and he can kill people with his mind. And I hear his father and his dad or his uncle were beating him even into his adulthood, and he was tired of it and just killed him, and then was going to kill the mother too for standing by. So, and then you have the father who played Laurie Campbell's father in Freddy vs. Jason. I'm not sure his name, but he actually played. And there's an episode of a scarecrow, and he plays one of the guys in the town who is luring these people because they have to sacrifice a couple people every year to keep the town healthy and the crops and everything, and keep the scarecrow at bay, basically. So he's the bad guy there, having these people turn off a certain road so the scarecrow can get them every year. And and then later on, I'm not sure if it's later in this season or in season two, you have the girl that played Kim in Freddy vs. Jason, and she's a girl who's getting powers because it seems like different people are born with powers and abilities. Sam is discovering he has psychic abilities, Sam Winchester, and he can see these things before they're happening, and that's how he meets the boy with the telekinesis. But then it's like these kids are getting ready for something that's going to happen, almost like The Stand, and so we'll find out more about that later. But they did meet up with their father here in like episode 15 or 16, and he almost got killed. And then they realized that he's safer without them because they're just not as good as him. So he goes back on his own again, and then it's them two hunting on their own. But they were trying to find him this whole time, and then he disappears again. And so I'm like, okay. But I mean, he had went on to Walking Dead, I believe, and all that, Jeffrey Dean Morgan. So he could only have a few episodes here and there. But he comes back later, so he's in a few seasons. It's not just him popping in and out. But there's so many good references. They reference in the first episode. They call themselves Mulder and Scully, of course. There's a Blues Brothers reference later on, and then there's Hamill and Ford, which I believe they're talking about Star Wars. Mark Hamill and Harrison Ford, because they show up at different. Like sometimes they're the gas man, sometimes they might be park rangers, or even later on the cops, FBI agents, just kids from college. Any way they can try to get in to talk to people or do whatever they can. And then they have fake IDs and credit cards, so they can get money. And it's just a good show. And like I said, the first couple seasons, I mean, after you get to seasons 5 and on, you have more characters and just they're going all kinds of different ways and stories. But the first season and first 2 seasons or so are more like different myths and monsters. Like I said, you got the scarecrow. You got one about bugs in the first season, where there's just bugs taking over like plagues, and then they have their own little ways of trying to remedy the problem or solve it. And we're learning these things, like shotgun full of rock salt. You know what I mean? It doesn't kill ghosts and spirits, but it deters them and it hurts them a little bit apparently because of salt. So they have all these things, and I learned a lot because they have a lot of stuff from the Bible, different monsters. They bring in different characters later on. Uh, Spoilers: they actually bring in angels later, but they start with demons first, and they bring in Lucifer, and just this is later on now again. The first season is just more a couple guys just trying to figure out there's what's going on in the world, and there's way more than they even could, have a clue about. So, and then Dean almost gets killed a few times already, right away. So Sam seems to be the stronger one, and he's the younger one actually. He's way taller and bigger than the or the older brother. But uh, we've had about 7 cast members now from Supernatural on this the Sullivan Project podcast. So I paid to have them do cameos and answer questions. So go check out those previous episodes. I'd appreciate it, and I'm sure they would because they're getting to share a little bit of their life. I don't ask them about the show or movies. I ask or TV shows or stuff that's like that. I ask them stuff that has to do with the podcast and help people. I want to help people. So go check out Supernatural. I recommend that. And then how about the Scottie Pippen? I got an audio book called Unguarded, which recently came out after probably the last couple of years. I got the audio version. It's available in print too. And basically, Pippen just lets Jordan have it. The first part of it is all talking crap about Jordan, Michael Jordan, and then the Last Dance, the documentary that came out, which was great. Okay, but Pippen makes it seem like Jordan twists everything around, and Jordan is so good, and he's abusing his teammates, and everybody just scared him and didn't like him. But then he says good things about Jordan too, and I don't understand or appreciate people being different ways in the same sentence even, because he was saying how he never would have been so good without Jordan, and Jordan even mentions, hey, whenever people mention Michael Jordan, they should mention Scottie Pippen, and that's the greatest compliment. How could you not? How could you say that he was taking all the credit and he didn't help his teammates? And so Pippen did, he did messed up things, and then he didn't. He gave Jordan a lot of credit, but then he took credit away, basically saying all of Jordan's teammates, past teammates, are on Pippen's side, and they love him and they hate Jordan, and Jordan has nobody to talk to. So I don't know. I believe some of it I don't, and we all have our different opinions and realities because it's all inside our head and whatnot. So uh, I just have to pick what I think. I make up my own decision in the bits and pieces, what's true or not. But it's a very good book. I mean, it talks about Pippen's whole career, him having a brother and a father in wheelchairs because of a stroke with one, and the other one got paralyzed. His brother got paralyzed by somebody punching him in the back when he was a child, a bully. That's just terrible. Like in the 70s or 60s, this happened, and it's not like that now. I mean, kids in schools would do something. They wouldn't let somebody get beat up constantly until they got paralyzed, and then do nothing about it. So that's why Pippen took money a couple times. He took a contract for like less than $1 million a year when he could have got paid 20 million a year, as good as he was. But he wanted to help his family, and he knows there's no tomorrow. So he was doing the right thing. He got to my house, and did what he could. Went through a lot of stuff, but it seems like he's not giving people credit. But then he tries to take all the credit. And we're going to mention the one moment, of course, when he sat out in the playoff game for like 1.8 seconds at the end of a game because Phil Jackson was going to have him throw the ball in and give it to Kukoc. Hey, he's the coach of the team. And Kukoc actually hit a game-winning shot several times. But Pippen refused to even come out on the floor because he didn't want to be the guy throwing it in. He wanted to be out there getting the ball, and so he didn't play. And Jordan never did anything like that. None of these. I've never heard of any players. I just listened to a book on Phil Jackson talking about how obnoxious Kobe was at the beginning and how he was kind of more like Jordan and just wanted to hog the ball. But he never didn't want to play a game or sit out. No, none of them have ever done that. And Jordan, he never heard of Michael Jordan being hurt. He played with the flu and got almost 40 points. So you can't say anything about people doing this and that. You're getting paid. Put your ego on the side. Let the coach be the coach and throw the ball in. Don't sit out 1.8 seconds of a playoff game. Even though he was just going to be the one throwing the ball in bounds to the guy. To me, that's babyish. But he brought that up in the book, trying to say that there was a good reason for it, but he never explained why. And he did a couple other things like not having surgery till it was late, so he would miss part of the seasons because he wanted to screw the team over because he was getting less money. But he made this contract. He signed it. So they're full grown adult here, dude. But it's a book called Unguarded if you want to know Pippen's version. I mean, he tells you stats and all this. And he got lots of triple doubles and lots of nights it was him and Jordan together. But I don't think either one would have won without each other. And they didn't win until they were together. But they got 6 titles in 8 years and could have had 7 or 8. Had Jordan not went to retire and play baseball, his father was murdered right before that, and they still don't know what happened. It's just, and Pippen didn't even call Jordan, but then he says he regrets not doing that. Wow, and you wonder why. You know, you got to reach out too. I mean, it takes two. Jordan did a few things early in his career, Pippen's career, to try to be his friend, like get him some golf clubs and stuff. And Pippen's like, "Oh, I got a bad back, I can't play golf." Well, then don't complain because Jordan doesn't ask you to play golf later. You know what I mean? He reached out a few times, then you don't even call him when his dad dies. It's sad. You know what I mean? But hey, we all got a right to create our own existence as long as he recognizes what he did too. You know. And then I got another book, yeah. Phil Jackson. It's called The Last Season, not The Last Dance, but The Last Season. And this talks about him being with Kobe and the Lakers and Shaq and how I mean talk about the best coach ever. Phil Jackson has 11 rings, and then I believe 2 as a player with the Knicks. And he was a very good player with the Knicks and Willis Reed back in the 70s. And who else was it? Was it Earl the Pearl? Was in? And Clyde Frazier. I mean, he had an all-star team, and he was an all-star. Phil Jackson, like close to 7 feet tall, this dude. And but he had a lot of injuries too. But he's a good coach. But yeah, he's coached so many personalities that I don't think would have ever won without Phil Jackson. The Bulls would have never won with Doug Collins as a coach because he used to let Michael do whatever he wanted, and there was no rhythm. Phil Jackson came in with Tex Winter and put in the triangle offense, and that's what he did with Kobe and Shaq and them, and they won. I think he won 5 with the Lakers, 6 with the Bulls, and Kobe got 5. But Shaq only had 3 with the Lakers, and then I believe Shaq got 1 with Miami and Dwayne Wade after that. He just couldn't do it no more. Kobe wanted to be the only star on the team as well. Very greedy. So Phil left the Lakers, then went back again years later and won more titles. But yeah, he talked about how much, how greedy Kobe was, and then the whole incident with the rape and that case going on uh, in the early 2000s. So I don't know who else could have juggled all these personalities. And Rodman, I mean, think about Dennis Rodman. But the Bulls wouldn't have won their second three-peat without Rodman. He's the best rebounder of all time, in my opinion. He knew where the ball was coming off the thing. He would be in all the right spots. He would out hustle everybody. He dove and freaking cracked his head. He would dive into the cameraman and stuff. And he just gave up his body just to get the rebounds. And Rodman was a scorer in college. He got like freaking 18, 19 points. Or 20, close to 20 a game. But he figured out he could make his mark on defense and rebounding and be the best. Why be an okay at one thing if you could put everything into something and be like the best or greatest at it? Robin's up there getting 20 rebounds a game as a forward, in the late 90s, early 2000s. My brother-in-law is working on the water downstairs. I think that's what that sound is. You can hear it humming. We just had a new water heater thing put in, but then they messed up the gauge or whatever, and then they said we got to figure out the pressure gauge because the water company won't do it, and neither will the company that put it in. So there's no hot water. It's not working right now, and we think they broke the freaking thing that you turn one way or the other to put the pressure up and down because they don't want to come back and fix it. I'm like, my God, it's the blame game. Everybody blaming everybody else and doing things, and then they say the other person is responsible. And it's all about money. You know what I mean? Call someone else, pay them more money instead of whoever it was that fixed it, making sure it's fixed. That's another thing. It all confuses me being down here on this planet. The more I'm here. But we did get to go see Dan. Check out that episode. This is Dan. I got him on video for the first time. He's been on the podcast since the first episode, off and on, probably like 20 or so episodes. But I got a short video with him finally, and Dan can't sit still. He's got lots of mental problems, and I'm not saying that negatively because we all do have them. But he can't sit still for literally less more than 2 minutes at a time. I went over in his building, his apartment. I got a dart bus to take me because I've been waiting for almost 2 years for Dan to come back and visit me. And you just have to love him, love unconditionally. Like I said, you know what? I'll get a bus. I'll pay $10. It took cost me just to go like a mile up the road, a couple miles. And there's no elevator, but I sat downstairs in the I forget what it's called, a meeting. It's a room, a community room in his apartment. I met 5 or 6 people that were walking in and out of there, and security janitor, whatever, security guards, janitors, and they all came over and started talking to me. We have that gift, Dan and I, and a lot of people do, to where you meet someone and the first time you talk to them, they'll start telling you they just blurt out everything and they just want to talk to you forever. And I love that. You know what I mean? They'll tell you stuff that happened to them, even that they don't tell anybody, just on your first talking to them, like your therapist. And that's a responsibility. That's a gift, and that's light. We're here to help others heal, even if it's just them getting something out and saying it. That helps heal. Just the words, just put it out. Power of the spoken word. And so I talked to them and met a couple other people. Just found out that his friend and my friend Kim died that same day. And I was going to ask him, was she there and could I talk to her? Or maybe she'd come down to see me because she had never met me in person. We'd only talked on the phone. But he called me up later that day and said she died. She'd been going through cancer, just like his mom, Dan's mom, was going through cancer. Lost all her hair and everything. But I took some essential oil. I made Tracy Lee after her name up there and gave it to Dan. Gave him a little herb bag to keep him protected. And, taught him some more things about nature and just all kinds of things. He's more of an old school people where he thinks all that kind of stuff, crystals and that is the devil or witchcraft. People don't have a clue and that about stuff, and then they just automatically think something's this or that. But being close to nature is not being a witch, and there are good and bad of everything. But when people hear witch and Wicca and all these other things, they automatically think evil, something on a broomstick, putting curses. No, I don't deal with none of that. I'm just love and light, and that's all my intention is, and that's what I'd like to have back to me. You know what I mean? You can't get it if you don't expect it if you don't give it. And I believe give it first. Don't wait for someone to love you. You love them. You know what I mean? Unconditionally. So yeah, Supernatural. And we talked about Phil Jackson and Scottie Pippen. I'm listening to another audio book about Phil Jackson called 11 Rings, where he just talks about the whole deal about being a team and the coaching and how to talk to people in certain ways to bring them up. Don't always be yelling and screaming. Sometimes with certain coaches and players that works, or certain people even in life. But usually that doesn't work. They cut you off as soon as you raise your voice. You got to learn how to identify and talk to people with what makes them comfortable and what's important to them and on their own terms and words. You can't make anybody be anything, but you can lead by example and be like, hey, this is how I did it, or this is how I'm doing it. This helps me. Maybe, this could help you. But don't say you're right or wrong. Prove me right or wrong. I remain strong. That's another Sullyism. You're not right or wrong. None of us are. You know what I mean? We don't have a right to judge anybody. We all go through stuff. You're just judging that moment because somebody did this or that, but you don't know what led up to that, or what phobias they might have, or what things have caused them things in the past, and they automatically go back to that. It takes a lot of work to get better, but you got to realize things are wrong or you don't like the way they are, and if you want to be something else, you have to be different. And that's another soloism. Please write these down and share them. If you want to be something else, you have to be different. It sounds simple, but it's not, because every day you have to unsow the seeds that you've learned and you've put in your mind and replace them with good things, and they will grow. And then you have to keep after and keep watering yourself with good stuff every day. Listen to good stuff, eat good stuff, smell good stuff. You know what I mean? Just be all about that, and then your body will transform spiritually, and you'll just not want to sin or do bad things anymore. It's amazing. And I'm just telling you from example. I never knew what it was like to. Well, I'm in pain right now, so I'm moving my hips. But I never knew what it was like to cry in joy until I lost my sight. And I now when I get down, I'll ask my angels or whoever it is that speaks to me and gives me this wisdom. I say, please just come down and shine your bright light, make it warm, help me feel your love, and I feel the joy. Literally, it's almost like something covering you, but you can't really feel it touching you, but you can. It's not like a physical touch. It's like a warmth, and I'll tear up with this unconditional love in me. Like going to church, and you know what I mean, but way more intense. And then you come out of there and you feel so good. And so I try not to use it up. I don't want to be like every day, hey, God help me get high off the light, because that's what it is. You're getting high off the light because you're detached from home, and the only way we can get that is to go back to heaven where we came from, or be back with one with the Creator, and we'll always have that high there. But down here, oh, my throat's getting dry. Yeah, we're about to sign off here. I've been talking good, rambling on, but hopefully it's not just rambling on to somebody. If I can help one person with something they hear, or helps them, you know. But we're down here trying to fill up with artificial highs, basically, and the only way we're going to fill that high is when we go back to heaven, constantly, or go to church, or do these other little things. But that's going to be temporary. You know what I mean? We have to fill this other stuff as well. But Dan was the one person he was calling me over and over when I lost my sight for a couple months. I didn't talk to anybody. I had all these voicemails, and he just kept calling and saying, "Hey, call me back. It's Dan." And then I finally did, and we started going to church a few times on the bus. He rode with me, and then I got the audio Bible, and then there we go. Almost 13 times through it now. And I got about 11, 12 hours left in it out of 87 hours. So God bless Dan. God bless everybody. Chris been on here. Greg, Danny, my buddy with the two babies now, Gabriella and Adeline. They're both angels, and I knew that before they were born. Uh, just like my niece Mila, she's a little diva already. I just get so cute when she says no. She just always says no, no, like the little boss, you know. But then when she cries, I can't imagine. I never had kids yet, you know. I haven't been married or anything. I'd love to experience that and just have love, a relationship, date somebody. I have never done it, got to do that stuff really. But as a father, it would break your heart every time you hear your child cry and scream. You know what I mean? Even if they're just doing it, for attention, there were just certain things because they can't communicate yet, and still got to break your heart just hearing them. You always want them to be happy, laughing, and all that. You know what I mean? Because that just loves you. It makes you feel so good inside. You know, and maybe I'll get Matt on soon. Well, I've had my one nephew Steven on here. That's not my only nephew I've had. So go check out that past episode with Steve. Might have been called Steve Man, but he always wanted to be a wrestler when he was younger, and so his wrestling created guys were a Steve Man, pretty much. I think it was anyway. Unless that's just something somebody called him, but he went by Jesus Christ a couple of times. His last name was Christ because he had long hair and a beard, and then he was close to death his own a few times. So we all have that. I've been close to death 30 some times. A lot of people don't count, of course, but I've been just trying to figure out why I'm here. We're all here for something, and we don't turn out the light. God does. So, we got to live what we can, do what we can, because you never know what's going to happen. He might be gone in a second. So cherish right now. Call somebody that you lost touch with, like I did with Chris, and after 30 years now, we're talking the last few years, and he's been on the podcast. Find people. You know what I mean? Clean your soul as much as you can now, and there's always hope, and there's always another chance. I believe you have another chance right now. You have a second chance. Be right, do right. And I love y'all. Love the choices, so is the hate. Don't forget that. We'll be back soon.